today is we're going to talk about a tech data offering called Small Business Cloud Server, and we're going to go over a quick intro to that and kind of kick the tires on what that looks like in a demo after we talk about what it looks like. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So you may remember the Microsoft Small Business Server. We sold it for quite a while. It was a very popular on-premise solution that included Windows Server, Exchange Server, and SharePoint. And it ran on one physical server or virtual towards its end and was specifically targeted at small business. Well, we still get a lot of questions from our customers asking for Microsoft to bring it back to life, which they have no plans to do. So we did, using StreamOne, which is our online ordering and Azure Cloud maintenance tool, does a little bit of everything, and the Microsoft Cloud. Our solution is called the Small Business Cloud Server, or SBCS, and it offers what the old SBS server did using the Microsoft Cloud technology, which is really cool. So you're moving from the on-premise SBS role to the new SBCS. We leverage the power of Azure and Office 365 to provide Windows Server, remote desktop services, Exchange and SharePoint Online, and Microsoft Office applications like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Partners love the Small Business Server because it provided a ton of Microsoft core technology at a great price, and it was easy for them to set up, use, and manage. Cloud can be challenging for many of our partners. Learning the technology and the jargon, the process of generating the quote, and getting them moved to the cloud can be long and sometimes frustrating process for our partners. So don't get discouraged. I have good news to tell you about. We have the solution, the Tech Data Small Business Cloud Service we talked. The great thing we do 90% of the work for you. We deploy the virtual servers and the supporting architecture to Azure and Office 365. That provides you with the Microsoft Small Business Cloud solution that you can now customize and finalize for your customer. This shows a little more detail, some of the core things that are provided by the SBCS solution, things like Windows Server VMs, Active Directory, backup and recovery. The solution can also be easily expanded with things like VPN gateways and SQL Database, either SQL Database itself in Azure or SQL Database as a service. The solution is very easy to buy using, like we talked, our StreamOne store. We currently offer 3 different options based on the user size. A small option for 6 users or less, a medium option for 20 users or less, and a large option for 40 users or less. So and this shows the actual server types. That may change over time, but for right now, that's the server types that we're creating in Azure. So again, we're going to have plenty of time for questions, so I'm going to go ahead and get in and actually show you the product. That was all the slides, which everyone's probably pretty happy about. Anyways, let me get out of that. So the first place, there's a couple places you'll deal with when you're managing the SBCS solution, and everyone sometimes have different skill levels related to Microsoft Cloud. So this is the Azure portal. You can get there by going to portal.azure.com. And I guess the first thing I'll show you is the email you get when you actually go through StreamOne and you set it up, you'll get an email that looks similar to this with the username and password. This username and password would be the same username and password that you log into the Azure portal as well as the Office 365 portal if you choose to do that. So you may have, your customer may have an existing Office 365 account. That's fine. We can leverage that too. If they don't, then we can actually, you can buy the Office 365 offering at the same time you're buying the Small Business Cloud Server solution. And this is the admin center for that. It's just portal.office.com. So the first thing we're going to do when we get the product that we're going to notice is if we take a look at all the resources that we're creating for you. Again, this is us doing, again, 90% of the work for you. And all you have to really do is go in and make a few tweaks, which I'm going to show you some of those areas. But you can see if we do this by type, the other thing, too, is automation. So we actually set it up so that if you're not 24 hours a day every day, you can automate it so that it turns them off on the weekend, for example, and turns it back on before you come in on Monday, which would save money on the solution. But anyways, you'll see we create the disk. The Azure backup is already created there for you, so you have backup. All these things, again, some of it, you don't have to worry about because, again, we're taking care of that for you. Even a SQL Server's out there if we need it. We're creating the storage accounts, the gateways, everything you need. So when we drill down into that, when you come in, the main thing you're going to want to do is take a look at the virtual machine. So you've noticed, again, I'm not sure how familiar everyone is, but the places you go in Azure are on the left, and then the dashboard's in the middle. So in this case, most place you're going to spend your time is in the virtual machine section. And this is the virtual machine. We use all the same names, so you get real familiar with the names if you're actually doing this as a partner. You'll notice, again, some roll-up on it itself, and then we can go ahead and connect to our Azure Virtual Machine that was created for us. We'll supply this account, and you obviously can change that. Sorry. Go ahead and log in there. So the machine will come up, and you'll see the server manager. And all you really have to do is add your UPN suffix. So it's a simple thing to do. You go over here and get in there in the Active Directory and add your UPN suffix. For those who maybe not know what a UPN suffix is, this is the machine, the domain name. We're going to want it to have like in my case for this example, I have a domain called iaspro.com. So I want to add that so when the users log in, they're not logging in to this local domain. They're logging into the actual domain for the company. But not a big thing to do. It's a pretty simple thing to do. And we have I've got another video that shows you actually how to do all of these steps step by step, which if you ping me, I can send you a link to that video and you can reference that. But simple things like setting the time zone. And then it'll pop up here in this area, and it'll actually ask you to finalize the we use Windows Server and leverage Windows Server Essentials, and it'll finalize that domain and make those changes for you. It doesn't take long at all, maybe like 15 minutes for that step. And then you'll end up with the Windows Server Essentials dashboard, which gets to the ease of use. The other thing to remember, too, is we're making that, we've made all the Office 365 available. So in this dashboard, this is where you would manage all your users, your devices, storage, things like that, and there's an Office 365 integration section, which is really nice. So all you have to do is, with Essentials, is simply go in here and integrate your server with Office 365. Notice ours is enabled and integrated, which is already done. Then all you have to do is basically come to the User tab and import your accounts from your cloud service, right? So that's great if you already have Azure Active Directory and Office 365 leveraged. You'll notice in this case, it pulled in my, I already had the admin account for the sysadmin, but it also pulled in my accounts from Office 365. And to show you that, so all I have to do in Office 365 is add a domain, and show you that real quick. So there's my domain that I added. Again, I need that UPN suffix over in the server. And then I added a couple users. Scroll up and show you that. So there's our users. And then when we imported it in, boom, it brings them right into our Small Business Cloud Server solution. So that's really nice. And it makes it really easy for me to manage. Can be done remotely as I'm doing here. Again, this is all in the cloud, which is really nice. So the other thing that you will need to compare, you can make this into many different things, but most of our partners also use, remote desktop services. So by default in the Small Business Server Cloud solution, we turn on remote desktop services for you, again, doing most of that groundwork for you. Turning on all these different roles, and the only thing you would have to add is the licensing, and that's pretty simple here. Basically, you can buy the remote desktop services accounts with software assurance and then incorporate them into this Azure server. But there is a little bit of setup when you actually come into the product. You will need to populate a few things in here. Basically, we need to verify that our server name is correct. So where we get that is back in our Azure dashboard, and there's our DNS name for that server. So we would basically grab that and copy that and put that in here and make sure that's populated. All the defaults, the other stuff for the defaults is good. Again, you'll need to do something with the licensing. I have it in this case, but you'll need to populate that. It'll work without it for like 180 days. And then the web access gets created for you, and you need to do a little bit of certificate work. Again, if you need help with that, ping me, and I can send you the link to the video I created that shows you how to do that. But once that's all squared away, then you basically create an RDS remote app collection. And I'm going to show you what that's going to allow you to do in just a second, but that can do some pretty cool stuff. But what we can do is we can go ahead and publish applications for our users to use over a web browser. So I'll just show you what that looks like real quick. I've already got quite a few of them published. So it basically will generate a list of what we want published. So in this case, let's go ahead and publish OneDrive. That's one I don't have. And it's going to add that to our list of published applications. And if you have more questions about published applications or any of the details in this, ping me again and we can have a one-on-one discussion about it and how it works and why you might want it. But the cool thing about that is why you might want it is you can allow your users access from a web browser to their applications. So all I have to do is know that server name /RDWeb, and I'm getting right to my server over the web, over the internet, which is nice. I don't have to worry about static VPN connections or site-to-site or point-to-point connections. So I'm just going to log in as this user, and you can see these are the applications plus that OneDrive for Business application that I had there. And it doesn't have to be just Microsoft applications. You can publish your own server-based applications into this so your users can use them remotely. And all they have to do, the nice thing is it doesn't launch an entire desktop. It basically launches the app. Sometimes the first time you do them, it takes a little bit of time. There's, for example, WordPad. And you can see I can do my work, my application, and it doesn't bring up a whole other desktop for me to manage. So this is a nice, clean, popular way that a lot of our customers like to utilize this product. And again, we do 90% of that setup for you. There's just a few little things you have to do in order to get that going. So that is really cool and really powerful. So when you look at the overall solution, the big thing to remember is that you're getting a ton of stuff. And again, we're doing most of the work for you. And then just with a little setup on your end, you can go from nothing for a company to a small business, in this case cloud server solution that acts much like the old small business server solution that you used to sell, really within a couple of hours.